Hi, Team Up. I just wanted to record a farewell video because I'm not going to be there on the last day to wish you guys off. So, first of all, congratulations to you guys for finishing 8th grade. It is a huge accomplishment. And then also, especially for those of you watching this video, it means that you made it through distance learning as well. So, congratulations to you because making it through distance learning means that you are self-directed, that you are able to manage your own time, and then also you're able to do things that aren't necessarily the most fun at the time, but you know is going to be beneficial for you in the long run. So props to you guys for that. I also just wanted to say that as a class, I've really enjoyed being your teacher. You guys are a really fun bunch. You have great attitudes, and you guys made me laugh so many times, even just like every day when I popped my head out of my classroom and I was looking to see who's wearing their ID and who's not in line. You guys would yell at people to get in line. That always made me laugh. So thank you to you guys for making this year enjoyable. And I do not say this to every year, but you guys really have been one of my favorite years to teach just because you guys were so great. And also on the whole, as your teacher, I'm also very proud of the work that you guys did. From the first day when you walked into my class and you found your seats because you pulled a random index card from my hand, to the very last projects that you turned in, which were Invest, and looking at the issues that our islands face and how you can be a part of the solution. I was just so impressed by the work that you did, especially for those of you that completed Invest. I mean, you guys were looking at reducing your electricity bills so that you could produce less carbon dioxide by using less fossil fuels for electricity. You guys were reducing your water usage so that you could prevent polluted runoff and save fresh water for our islands. You guys were looking at your food waste and how throwing that into a compost bin instead of throwing it into the rubbish pile, which then goes to a landfill, which then produces methane, which is a greenhouse gas. You were looking at ways where you could take your food scraps instead and compost them and turn them into something that's actually beneficial for the earth and beneficial for your garden as well. And many of you guys also planted gardens because you wanted to help out by using less CO2, by relying less on importing vegetables from thousands of miles away. And you wanted to live more sustainably. And so you wanted to live more healthfully also and have produce that's actually fresh, that didn't take 2 weeks to get here. So congratulations to you guys for all your hard work, and especially, and even those of you guys that decided to buy local and support local farmers instead of going to the grocery store and buying tomatoes that were picked in Mexico 2 weeks ago that had to be ripened somehow before they got here. So there's all different kinds of things, and I'm so proud of you guys for getting involved and for recognizing the habits and the decisions that you guys make every day in your families and how it impacts the environment and how you can make small changes that'll have a big impact. So I sincerely hope that you guys carry on with those lessons that you guys have learned through Invest about yourself and about your eating habits. Because a lot of you guys said too that a lot of the food that you eat is wrapped in plastic, and you decided to switch to fresh food instead of prepared food because number one, it's better for you, and then number two, it produces less plastic waste. And you all know that when it goes to a landfill, a bird could pick it up, the wind could pick it up, the rain could pick it up and carry it into the ocean and what have you. And actually this past weekend I went to go see the albatross chicks on Kaena Point, and they are huge and they're so fluffy, and those are the birds that you're helping to save. So thank you for being involved. And I know it's not exactly what you guys wanted, but you guys made lemonade out of the lemons that we were given. So I am so proud of you guys and the work that you did. So I wanted to say 3 things that I wanted you guys to remember from science this year. So number 1 is I hope that in science, you remember to question everything, because there are so many things that are unsaid in this world, and there are so many things that we take for granted in this world. And so it's important to ask questions, especially in a developed nation. Everything comes given to us already. We just buy it off the shelves. But where did all of those things come from? And what's the backstory that it took to make those things? And what are the questions that aren't being said as well? And what are the ways that we can improve things in our lives to make the world a better place for people and for other species that exist on this planet as well? So first of all, ask questions like, for instance, where did that tomato come from? What was it like when it was picked? Was it ripe, or was it ripened with chemicals when it arrived at the store? How long ago was it picked? And who are the people that are actually picking it? What kind of lives do they have? Are they being paid fair wages? Those are all the kinds of questions that we don't even think about when we go to the grocery store and we pick up a tomato. But there is a lot that goes on in the tomato industry and in the agriculture industry. And then also think about, for instance, like with China not taking our plastic with recycling anymore. What's happening with our plastic now? Where is it going? And who's going to be recycling it? Or is it all just going to end up in the landfill, which is going to be worse for everybody? Also ask questions like, even in the laptop that I'm using right now, or the tablet that you have, or the cell phone that you guys have in your hands, we would have learned about these things called conflict minerals at the end of the school year if we had regular school, because it's one of the mini units that I'm most passionate about, because actually all the electronics that we use every single day have minerals inside of them, and most of them are untraceable. Sorry, I shouldn't say untraceable. Most of them can be traced back to a conflict mine in places like the Democratic Republic of Congo, where there are warlords who own the mines and they profit off of selling their minerals, and they use the profit that they buy to buy guns so they continue to fight wars. And they oftentimes use child soldiers as well, where they take children from their families and force them to be soldiers in their war and to fight for them. So there's all different kinds of things that are happening around the world, and we don't often think about it because we just pick something up from the store and we don't think about everything that went into making these objects. So I encourage you guys to look into those things, and to look into how all of the things that get unsaid, and what does that mean for us as the consumers, that we are a part of this, even if we don't necessarily know it, or even if we don't necessarily pay the warlords ourselves. The trail of money leads back to them. And so what are we supporting with the things that we decide to buy? And a lot of companies have made a lot of good decisions, but it's still important to ask questions about everything. And even, all of the great discoveries about space and all of the great discoveries about how the sun moves and the seasons, those were all discoveries that were made because people asked questions, or like Isaac Newton and gravity, So ask questions, because that's how we further the conversation, and that's how we learn more about our world and what's important. And second of all, to do your own research, because that's what scientists do. You ask a question and then you do your research. So do your research, collect your data on what's going on, and don't just trust whatever people say to you, because it's important that you look for what's actually fact and what's not. There is a lot of misinformation out there, and so make sure that you go to reliable sources. You guys learned how to cite things this year using APA format. You learned to look for the authors. You learned how to look for reputable sources. You learned how to cite things with the year of publication. So look for the recent facts and the recent data. And of course, for science, you want to look for science that's agreed upon by numerous scientists and not just by one scientist. You want a consensus among scientists, but also make sure that they're being funded by sources of funding that aren't tied into big companies. So for instance, the tobacco company, when they were putting out cigarettes in the very beginning, they hired researchers to see what kinds of impacts would happen if people continue to smoke. And they knew that it was going to lead to lung cancer and other things like that. But they actually were able to pay off scientists so that they would keep the results quiet. Or they paid off scientists who would say that it's not as dangerous as it actually was. So follow the money. Who are they being paid by, and what are the interests of those people? And look for make sure that you guys are using reputable sources that aren't paid off by big companies that have their own interests. And the same thing goes for politicians too. Follow the money and where they're being supported. So make sure that they are also not being supported by huge organizations that have their own agenda. Because if they are, unless it's an agenda that you believe in, because unless they are, then what that means is that they're going to be catering to those organizations, because those are the ones that are paying their way and making it possible for them to be a politician, which is not a bad thing necessarily. That's how most politicians work. But you want to be aware of why they're saying the things they do and why they're doing what they do. And a lot of it is for supporting those organizations that supported them and supporting the beliefs that organization has. So do your research, look into it, especially because you're going to be voting in about 3 to 4 years time, or 4 to 5 years time. And you guys need to make sure that you have well-informed decisions. So do your own research and go into it with an open mind. So don't just research the stuff that supports the opinion that you already have, but actually look at all the data first and then make a well-informed opinion based on that, which is just the thing that you did last week for the dinosaur croc versus chicken debate. You looked at the evidence first, and then you came to your conclusion about whether or not you thought dinosaurs are more closely related to crocodiles or to chickens. So look at the evidence, have an open mind, And also, it's not just about data and numbers, but it's also about stories. So listen to the stories of people, which is why I told you guys that ELA and social studies are so important, because it's where you learn to tell your story and where you learn to listen to the stories of other people. In class, we learned about the woman from the Marshall Islands whose islands are disappearing as a result of sea level rise. And her stories, although they don't understand the science, she said that in the video, they don't understand the science behind it, but they see what's happening in their own backyard. And those stories are worth telling and worth listening to, because those people deserve to have just as wonderful and happy a life as you do. And their joy is worth just as much as your joy. But we are the ones in developed nations that are making decisions that impact people around the world. And it's not about placing blame on anybody, but it's about us recognizing that we are all interconnected, and us recognizing that we have the power to make somebody else's life just a little bit better with the decisions that we make. Even today on Instagram, there was a post by BBC that said, there are islands in Indonesia that are already being swallowed up by the sea because of sea level rise and climate change. There are already climate refugees that need to leave their homes. And unless we're looking for those stories and unless we're listening to those people, we won't know what's going on elsewhere. So that's why it's important for you guys to keep up to date with the news articles that are coming out every day. So to be well informed, because it's happening now. And you guys, with the choices that you make and that your families make, can make a difference. And we don't need 5 people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly. Better yet, millions of people doing it perfectly. But even I'm not zero waste myself. But I was inspired by you guys. Every year I get inspired by the students when we do invest to make my lifestyle a little bit more sustainable too. So this year I switched to a bamboo toothbrush. And I also switched to a non-plastic biodegradable loofah, and I will be switching to shampoo bars also, because they don't come in those big plastic containers. So the small things that we can do every day make a difference, and the more people we have doing them, the better. And there's actually a zero waste store opening up on June 20th. It's called Protea Zero Waste, and it's going to be in Kailua. Not funded by them at all. Haven't really checked them out, but saw them on Instagram and thought it was super cool if there's going to be a zero waste company on our island. So you can go there and check it out. And I will definitely be doing that later this summer as well. But yeah, the choices that you make every day can make a difference. And I firmly believe that you have the power to make change in this world and to make the world a better place for everyone. And it sounds cheesy, but I know that by using less plastic or by using less gas or less electricity, that all of those things add up to a monumental change that can help slow down the effects of climate change and help give us time to adapt and give us time to prepare, so that people in Indonesia can prepare to move their homes instead of being swallowed up and taken by surprise. And now they're just left with no homes. So you can check it out, BBC on Instagram today. These stories are real and they're happening now, and you guys can be the solution that we're waiting for. So that's why problem solving is so, so, so important. And lastly, I just wanted to say, make sure that you try your absolute best in high school, and make sure that you work super hard and give yourself the best chance of success that you can, because you're worth it. It's worth it for your future to try your best. Whether you're going to apply for a job in high school or after high school, or whether you're going to go to college after high school, in both scenarios, they're going to want people that are responsible, that are hardworking, and that want to make a difference in the world, and that are community contributors. So make sure that you guys strive to be those things, because that's what the world really needs right now, is people that are going to make a difference. And usually on the last day of class, we watch the Lorax, and then we have a party, and then we talk about this quote at the end, which is, unless someone like you cares an awful whole lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. And that's the truth. We need people that are going to care enough to maybe inconvenience themselves a little bit and go out of their way to compost things instead of throwing it in the trash, to use things that aren't covered in plastic, to use beeswax wrap instead of using saran wrap. So it's those little things that may inconvenience you, but unless someone like you cares an awful whole lot, nothing is going to get better. And nothing is going to change. And if you don't think about how you can make the world a better place for yourselves or for people around you, for people around the world, then we're just not going to be able to move forward as a society and as a world. It's those people that thought, what if the world was connected in ways that we can't even see, and they created the internet? It's those people that thought about, what if we create a cell phone that could actually tap into things like online dictionaries or online search and databases to actually pull up information in real time. Those are the kinds of things that really rocked and changed the world. Or people that are looking to make the world a better place by cleaning up the plastic in the ocean. Those are all ingenious solutions that came from somebody who had an idea, who wanted to make the world a better place. And I firmly believe that that's going to be you when you guys grow up, and even when you guys are in high school and college, that you can make the world a better place with the small changes that you and your family decide to make every single day. So with that, again, I just wanted to wish you guys congratulations and to say have a wonderful and amazing summer, because you guys totally earned it. And I hope that I get to see you guys next year when you come back and visit. I heard that 9th grade is a little bit easier, but if you need any help, you guys know where I'm at. It's in Q2. And again, congratulations to you guys. 8th grade class of New Valley Middle School, class of 2020. You guys made it, you guys did it, and we are so, so proud of you guys. So I look forward to seeing you guys next year when you come back and visit. And I would love, 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 love to see you. Okay, that's it. Bye. Have a good summer.